our home, one of the favorite bedtime activities is when my kids get in bed and Alyssa reads James Herriot stories to them. James Herriot was a veterinarian, and he said that being a veterinarian will not make you rich, but you'll live a life of endless variety and interest.
James Herriot wrote, "If having a soul means being able to feel love and loyalty and gratitude, then animals are better off than a lot of humans."
James Herriot's stories are really fun because he saw so much interest in animals, and he helps us to see how these creatures are fascinating. And that's how God made them. God made animals interesting. He made them in a way that entertain us and comfort us, and in a way that we can learn so many spiritual lessons from the things He has created.
There are animals everywhere, but here in the state of Alaska, they're big and scary, and they just might eat you. In Alaska, we have more carnivores than any other state. And it's not that we don't love our animals. In fact, we try to see them all the time. That's one of the big adventures of coming to Alaska, is trying to see that big brown bear or that moose. Our spiritual lesson today is given to us by Pastor Chris Kanuka.
Hi, I'm Chris Kanuka. I'm from the Gamble Seventh-day Adventist Church. I serve as the lead pastor out there and pastor in training right now. I just wanted to tell a story that our ancestors told back home of animals living in the land, tundra animals. And they're out there as they're just living. Suddenly they lost their sun and the moon, their sources of light, the only sources of light. And so they were living in darkness. They couldn't see anything. It was hard for them to look around, try to feel around and find their food. And so they called a gathering. All the animals came together, and it was arranged by the so-called elderly of the animals. And the leader of the animals was the raven. And the raven, along with other elderly animals, were there, and the raven spoke, saying, "How long are we going to live in this darkness without our light? I have heard from the old people that our light, our sun and moon is nearby. It's in the underground house of the demons. They are the ones who took the sun and the moon away from us. And so now I propose to send the strongest of all of us, the grizzly bear, to go get our sun and moon, because he is the strongest of all of us." And so all of the animals, all the representatives of the animals that came together, it seemed like there was one from each animal that came together, and all the animals, they yelled, "Bear, bear, bear," calling on the bear. And over towards the back was a really old owl. He was hard of hearing, and he was building a sled there. And next to him was a little bird, what they call Tweety bird. The kids at home call it Tweety bird. So he asked the Tweety bird, "What is everyone talking about here?" "The raven is proposing to send the bear, because he is the strongest of all animals, all of us, to get the moon and the sun back so we can see again." And so the owl thought, and he said, "Let them go ahead and send whoever they want. If the bear runs into food, he will stop and eat. He will eat until he gets full. And when he is so full, he will forget his task, and we will not have the sun and the moon again." And so the raven was over there listening. And so the raven said, "That's right. If the bear runs into food, he'll forget his task. We won't have a son. So we should bring the second strongest animal of all of us. Plus, he is the fastest. Let's send the wolf to get the sun and the moon. And so all of the animals yelled, wolf, wolf, wolf. And as the wolf is coming, the owl again hears the yelling, and he asks the bird, what are they talking about? The raven wants to send the second strongest and the fastest of all of us to go get the sun and the moon. And so the owl thinks again. He says, let them go ahead and send whoever they want. If the wolf runs into a reindeer, he will kill it and eat it, and eat every part of that animal. And he will get so full, he won't remember what he was so originally for. And so the raven over there, he listens to the wise old owl, and he says, that's right. If he does run into a reindeer, he will kill it and eat every part of it and get so full that he'll forget his task. Who are we going to send now? Over that way is a mouse who's jumping. Let's send this rabbit here. He can run as fast as he could, and he has big feet. He can grab the sun and moon, and he could kick it with them. And the raven was doubtful and he didn't want to. But the owl notices the mouse being so excited, and he asks, what are they talking? What's that mouse talking about over there? And the little bird tells him, that mouse wants to propose to send the hare, the snowshoe hare, to go get the sun and the moon, because he can leap every which way he wants, and he can kick with his big feet. And the owl thinks, that sounds good. If he's able, he can run and go down there and grab the sun and the moon, and can jump out and he can kick it. That's a really good idea. And so all of the animals, they yelled, rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. And so here comes the rabbit over to the panel of elderly animals. And they teach him, they talk to him. They tell him, down in the underground house, he'll see two balls of light, one small and one big, each inside a white bowl. And if he's able, he can jump in, grab them, and go out and bring them back home. And so they talk to him, and they teach him, and they send him off in the darkness. He doesn't know which way he's going. That he was told to go that way. And so he goes and goes and goes. So after a few days of hopping and going, the rabbit finally sees way up ahead of him a little glimmer of light, and he thought, that is where I'm to go. And so after being discouraged previously, now he finds hope. But he still doubts himself, and he says to himself, what did I get myself into? Why did I want to do this? But he just went on and on and on. That light, little dot of light, just grew and grew and grew as he went, and he got to it. It was from a hole, the door from the ground, shining just straight upward. And he peeked in there. He saw a few demons sleeping, and then he sees the two great balls of light inside white bowls made of white rock. And so he thought out which way to go, so he jumps in and hops over to the smaller light, and he took that smaller light ball, and then he went over to the bigger light ball, and then he has them, he takes them, and then he turns, and as he hops out towards the exit, the demons woke up. And so he goes out faster and jumps out, and the demons are in pursuit of him now. And so he hops and hops and hops and hops, and the demons right after him. They're all mad and trying to get to the those balls of light that they had stolen some time before. And so he hops and hops and hops and hops, and he lets go of the smaller light, and he kicks it. He kicks it with these big feet. And as he kicked it, it just flew up into the air, and it got stuck up in the sky, and it shone finally. Moonlight shine. Finally was that much brighter than the darkness. And he was going and going and going, and the demons are right behind him. And he lets go of the bigger ball, and he kicks it. He kicks it, and out shoots up and straight into the air, and gets stuck up on the sky and shines like how shiny it is right now. By then the demons, their eyes hurt, and they ran back into their house down underground, and down they went, never to come up. And when the sun is out, they're so scared of the sun by then. And so the rabbit goes home, and he has a warm welcome. He goes home, and from then on, our light has never been taken away. But that brings to mind, that's an allusion, ancient old allusion to John chapter 8, verse 12, where Jesus says, what did exactly he say? I am the light of the world. Those who follow me will never be in darkness. So follow Jesus and stay in the sunlight.
Our study guide this week tells us of 3 ways that animals speak of their Creator.